everybody, it's Elizabeth Love here and welcome to my channel, or welcome back if you are a regular here. Today we are coming back to my Island Paradise build, which I built in a previous part, which I think I posted about 2 weeks ago now, because I planned on posting these one after the other, but then so many videos crept up on me that I was supposed to post before that. So I thought, you know what, let's just wait a minute and post it when I do have the time to. And now we finally have the time to. So we finally have the second part of this speed build. So in this part I will be furnishing the whole inside. It's gonna take a while. It's about a 25-minute video, so this is quite a big villa. It is like sped up 1000%, so it's like 10 times the speed of me building this, plus I did cut out some parts. So this did take a while, I'm not gonna lie. But I think it's worth it. I think it turned out pretty good. And this was for a shell challenge, keep that in mind. So there are some weird walls. It was quite a difficult shell, so like some of the rooms are kind of weird shaped. Just don't mind that. And I wanted to make this house very much fitting to the people who live in it. So let me talk a bit more about the characters. So my idea for this is that there are these 3 celebrity friends who lived in somewhere like Del Sol Valley, and they were kind of like not enjoying it that much, and they thought, you know, it's like a very vain space to live in. Let's move somewhere where life is a little slower, where we can still do our jobs. Because all 3 of them are celebrities, but they are kind of like celebrities who can do their job anywhere. So one of them is a YouTuber, or like a SimTuber, you know. And she is the one who actually has like the nicest bedroom space. They have bedrooms, but I don't like to call it their bedrooms because they each have like a whole wing of the house to themselves. And so that's why when I say bedrooms, I kind of like chuckle, because it's like, yeah, a bedroom and a recording studio and a bathroom and a closet. So she has probably the best looking one. And then the second friend is a music producer, so she has like a whole recording studio for herself. She also has a recording station right in her bedroom, in case, you know, she gets an idea while she is in bed and she has to get up at night and start recording or something like that. And now that I have completed the kitchen, I am moving on to furnishing this little hallway area between the entryway and the kitchen. And hallway areas are actually something I used to struggle with quite a bit when I first started building, because it just felt like they are useless. But you know, I've kind of learned to love furnishing them, because you can just add a lot of plants and it will always look good. If you're looking for a way to furnish an entryway, just add like a little console table and a painting over it, and it's probably gonna look quite good. And then I moved on to furnishing the entryway, which it is kind of hidden by plants in this view, because I did do the outside first. So I had like a gazebo kind of thing in the front, which was covered by plants, and also the roof of this particular room was covered by plants, so they are kind of getting in the way. By the way, if you haven't watched the previous video I did on this build, do make sure you check it out. I will link it down below. And I think it's a really cool one. I had a lot of fun with the landscaping, and basically this is probably the most massive build I have ever created, and so that's why it's split into 2 parts, because altogether I had about 12 hours of footage, and besides that my computer crashed once and I lost about 3 hours of footage and building, so I had to redo all that. So that 12 hours is without that. And now I am moving on to furnishing the downstairs bathroom, where I was building this with only 3 packs and the base game. I was doing it with Island Living, with Get Famous, and with Seasons. And so I didn't have the university shower, and I really wanted to have like a big custom shower. I didn't just want to have like the small enclosed 1x1 tile ones. And so I thought, you know what, I'll just add the shower that's in Island Living, like the outdoorsy looking one. And I think it doesn't look too bad. I think it would look better if I could have used university, but I think it turned out quite okay. And I love the island living bathtub. It's just, I want to take a bath in it. And then when I finished that, I moved on to this little, it's like a, what is it called? Butler's cupboard? What is it called that? I think so. Basically a rich person thing that you have in your house. Where you store some things for your kitchen that you just don't want to have in the kitchen itself. By the way, I just realized I forgot to tell you about the third friend who lives in this build. So the third friend is like a makeup artist and a painter. So you will see that downstairs I use like a little area to do a little painter studio. Plus she does have a whole closet, like a walk. They all have like big spaces, but she has like a whole walk-in closet in her bathroom. Because she's like a makeup stylist kind of person. I don't know, something like that. And for the living room, I used those island living sofas. I don't really use those ones that much. Maybe it is because I don't really build modern and I don't really build rich people homes, because I just find rich people homes to get very repetitive. I don't know, I just would prefer to create tiny homes and things like that. It's just more my thing. But I did definitely have fun furnishing this one. And this shelf that I am using in the corner here, it is so annoying because I think there's only like 2 spots on it, but the rest of it is completely empty. So you have to alt place everything else if you do want to add something. But I was thinking that this place is, it's not really a party kind of place, but they do have friends over sometimes and things like that. So I wanted to make it look like a young girls' apartment, or not girls, like young women's apartment. I imagine they're like in their 20s, maybe early 30s. They're all like super fiercely independent, don't need no man kind of girls. So they would probably have like girls' parties or something like that in their place. And I added like a little nook around here by the living room because that space just felt empty, and I add Baby Yoda to it as well, and I'll come back to it in a minute again and I'll furnish it a little more. But now I am moving on to the dining room, and I gotta say, this is probably my favorite room in the whole house. It's just the color scheme of it is so pretty. I love the way it turned out. I love everything about it. It's just the chairs match the island living rug so well, and just everything else I don't care about. So that's the little dining room, and totally my favorite space in the house. And you can see that this sort of like square room has a diagonal wall in it, and there's like another room on the other side of it. That's because that was one of the challenges of the shell challenge that this was for. There was just like a diagonal piece of wall in the middle of this room. So I thought, you know, maybe just let's divide it into 2 rooms. And I think that works pretty well. The only issue is like it is pretty far away from the kitchen. You do have quite a bit of dining seating in the kitchen itself. I think there's like 6 bar stools, but still, I think if I were not doing it as a shell challenge, I would have this closer, but I didn't really have much choice since this was a shell. And now we are moving on to the office, where you see that I have been adding quite a bit of those like vertical wooden wall decor kind of things to quite a bit of the walls, because I feel like those are really great for bigger, richer builds, because they kind of fill out the space a bit more without it feeling empty. But then again, it's not overwhelmingly full, so it's like a nice minimalistic aesthetic, but it looks like the person living there has still put work into how it looks, and I really like that. And I sized down that Seasons bookshelf here, and then it started giving me some trouble with the placement of the items, because obviously it was still registering the spots that are there for the placement of items when it's full-sized. But I did manage to put down quite a few items on it, and yeah, just the way to do it is to put items in the spots where they automatically snap, and then you can just place anything down and then delete the items in the automatic spots, and you won't have any trouble with it. Anyway, since this is probably going to be quite a long voiceover, I thought maybe we could talk about something because it gets kind of repetitive when I talk about the same build for like 25 minutes, and I was thinking it's probably not as fun for you guys. Just hear me say things like, oh yeah, I just placed a plant like 10 times in a video. And so I thought, let's talk about previous Sims games and like my history with The Sims. So my first game that I ever played from the Sims franchise was The Sims 2. And it was actually one of the first games that I have ever played. And I was at a friend's house and she had it on her computer and we played it, and I was obsessed with it. And I had to have it. I got it for Christmas. And I remember on that Christmas Eve I was sitting on my computer. I was like 11 at that time, or 10 maybe, until like 11 p.m. And because I wanted just to play and play and play. And I think that kind of characterizes how I play the game now as an adult. By the way, as I am recording this voiceover, for some reason, like the footage that I have of this build as I am watching it in the editing software is super laggy, so it's really hard for me to make references to what I'm doing in the build, because I am kind of like half and half looking at it and half just thinking, okay, I'll just say something, maybe I will say it at the right time. Anyways, so yes, the first game from the Sims franchise that I ever played was The Sims 2, and I loved it. And I think that The Sims 4 and The Sims 2 are kind of like tied for me in the respect of which is better. I did play Sims 3 as well, and for Sims 2 I actually only had one expansion. I only had University, and maybe that's why University, even in The Sims 4, is something I just really love. It's because there's so much nostalgia around it, because I played it so much in The Sims 2. And The Sims 2 was great. I remember so many details about how I played it as a kid, and it's been years. Like the first family that I played, I didn't really understand how the game worked that much. And so what happened is I didn't know there was such a thing as needs. Yeah. You can laugh at me, feel free to. I'll just take a break so you can laugh. Done? Good. Okay. Yeah, I didn't know there was such a thing as a needs. So I ended up having my kids taken away because they wouldn't do their homework because their needs were too low. Because, yeah, the kids just refused to do their homework, and I was just like, what's happening? Why are the kids not doing their homework? And it was because they were hungry, and I didn't realize I had to feed them. And my mom laughs at me to this day that happened to me. Like, every time she goes, oh, remember that time you played The Sims as a kid and you had them taken away? Yeah, that's like a running joke in my family now. So that was my first experience with The Sims 2, but I did figure out how it worked eventually. And then I played The Sims 3 as well a few years after it came back. I was never like really on trend as soon as it came out, and I was kind of obsessed with it, but I didn't know that much about the game back then. Like, I was still quite young, and I feel like a lot of times a lot of like the younger players are still with us here on social media, and they're like watching YouTube videos and everything, but like YouTube wasn't really a thing when I first played The Sims. So like all I had to go on was just what I played in the game and what like the tutorials said and things like that. So I was kind of lost quite a couple times, like with not knowing the needs and the things like that. But I remember the second game so fondly, because even though I had one pack, I would spend so long playing it and I would just like never want to get away from the computer. And it was, as I said, my first PC game. And I didn't really play much besides The Sims when I was young, but The Sims always had like a special place in my heart since I was 10 or so. And then I remember being at my aunt's place, and my aunt had The Sims 3 on her computer, and we were playing it together, and she had remember being fascinated by three things that were in The Sims 3 that like were not in The Sims 2. The first one was that you could climb out of the pool without a ladder, and only now do I know how much of a curse that is, and that if you want to drown a sim, you have to build a fence around it, and fences are expensive, so no thanks. Secondly, I remember being obsessed with the option of having horses in the game, even though I was never like a horse girl. You know, like everybody had a friend in high school or in middle school who was a horse girl. She loved horses, she had everything with horses, her diary had a horse on it, her school bag had a horse on it. I was never like that. I never had like a special relationship with horses, but I remember being like, oh my god, you can have horses in The Sims 3? I need that now. And the last thing I remember was I was so fascinated by the fact that you could woohoo in like the, what was it? It was a hay or something like that. I remember it was like a pile of straws or something like that. I don't know, for the horses. I remember you could woohoo in it and I loved it. You know, the 15-year-old me. Maybe I wasn't even 15 back then, I don't know. I was younger, probably like 13. And then I remember playing The Sims 4, I think it was at like a friend's house with outdoor retreat and get to work in it. And I hated it because that was quite soon after it released. And like we still didn't have toddlers and things like that. And let's admit it, The Sims 4 was not very good right after the release. There was a lot of things that were missing from the game, and that I think is a lot of the reason for why some people are still like The Sims 3 is so much better. And even though I don't think The Sims 3 is much better, I think that out of the 3 Sims games that I played, The Sims 3 is actually my least favorite one. Fight me on it. It's just my opinion. And yeah, I hated The Sims 4 at first because all I saw was like, oh, there's no toddlers and oh, there's no pools, and like all I could remember is being so fascinated by things like being able to climb into a pool without a ladder in The Sims 3, and I was just shocked about those features not being in The Sims 4. But then I did stumble upon James Turner's channel about like 2 or 3 years after that, and like I watched some of his Let's Plays and I saw like how far the game has gone since its release, and I was like, you know what, maybe The Sims 4 is not so bad, and I started playing it, and basically I haven't stopped since. I wasn't able to. So I think The Sims 4 is a really, really good game now, but I think it was bad at release. I know there's a lot of people who say like, oh, The Sims 4 is the worst and it's so trendy to hate on The Sims nowadays. I think Sims 4 is a really great game, guys. I really like it. That's why I film videos about it. I wouldn't do that if I didn't like the game. But I remember that I was quite disappointed with it at release. So that is another reason why I'm not looking forward to too much about the prospects of getting Sims 5 anytime soon. Because even though I feel like the Sims team has probably learned from the experience with The Sims 4, I'm afraid that it's gonna suck at release. And I mean, it's probably gonna get much better as the years go on. But if we get Sims 5, I'm probably still gonna keep playing The Sims 4 for like 2 or 3 more years until we have more content in that. But I feel like Sims 5 is not coming anytime soon, because there's still plenty of content that they have planned for Sims 4, and why would they release Sims 5 now when they can still keep releasing packs for Sims 4? I think it's coming maybe like 2 or 3 years down the road, and if they started developing it, that means it is coming, but it's coming like in 3 years. Game development takes a long time. I remember like, I think last year there was a news about a new Dragon Age game coming out, but like that's probably not gonna be until 2022. So if like this year there started to be speculations about Sims 5, we're probably not gonna get Sims 5 until like 2023. And I'm fine with that. So let me know, guys, based on this like 10-minute talk about the different Sims games, what is your favorite Sims game and why? And are you looking forward to Sims 5? Will you play Sims 5 as soon as it comes out? Because I may give it a shot, depends on how pricey it is, honestly. If it's like $40 at the release, I may wait a bit until it goes on sale. But I'm probably gonna stick with Sims 4 for quite a while before I move on to Sims 5. But that's gonna be so far in the future that, you know, it just feels very unreal talking about it because it's so far away. At least I hope. I don't want Sims 5 now. So you can just see me finishing up the build now. I talked my way through furnishing the bedrooms. So I hope you enjoyed, like a little bit of a different talk. If you did, let me know if you would like me to do this in other videos as well. Like if I should just have like a topic for a conversation as I build it and only jump in with comments about the build and then talk about something else. I had quite a bit of fun talking about like the different Sims games. So let me know if that is something that you would like. Make sure to check out the description where I have linked a giveaway that I have going on at the moment, as well as a shell challenge that will be going on for a week and a half, I think, 2 weeks. I think so. I'll link all the Twitter posts about that in the description below. Make sure to like this video if you enjoyed it and comment. Tell me what you think about the build and answer my questions about the previous Sims games as well. And don't forget to subscribe because it does help me out a lot. And let me know on Twitter what videos you would like me to make next, because I do like to listen to you guys when it comes to video ideas. Now, thank you for watching and I hope to see you here soon again. Bye!